And no kids, right?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And married,
Yes,
legally?
legally
okay.
married.
So married.
Right here, actually.
Oh,
in
really?
Vegas, yeah.
In Vegas?
At the Valley of Fire.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see, what else? Just kind of, any IRAs?
Nope.
Self-directed, 401ks from the past, any of
No,
that?
I've been an entrepreneur since 14.
You what?
I've never worked for anybody.
That's all right. All right, so what do you do for income?
I have a branding and marketing company.
Okay, and then is all the income under
Everything's
yours?
under the S corporation, even though I have different businesses. They're all under the
They're
same
all under the one,
corporation.
okay. So income,
This year we'll do about 500,000.
okay. And is it pretty steady per month, so call it 40-ish
Yeah.
a month?
Yeah.
40 plus per month, good, well done. And any other income? So everything's one,
I mean, there's different businesses, but that's what it adds up to.
okay. A little different thing, because we'll talk about that a little bit more.
I have a SaaS company.
A what?
A SaaS company, a software company.
Yep,
And then I have my branding and marketing company,
but it's all under here.
but it's all under there.
So it's ready for a new one with that revenue?
Yep.
Right, so more entities.
Yep.
This one's kind of a dead soldier. One sec. Let me get a different marker. What about intellectual property? Yeah, I knew we were all going to go there.
What was the question?
Intellectual property, is it all under there too?
Everything's in there, yeah.
Do you segment it out though? And this is for you that are going to be authors, is keeping your IP totally separate, your database separate, URL separate?
Correct, yes.
Is it officially owned by the company, or did you develop it and are allowing your company essentially the use of it?
So I just filed for trademarks for my different products and companies.
Okay.
I'm in the
How many?
process. I have three
Okay, good.
trademarks. I'm in the process of looking to get an intellectual patent on my brand in 2 days and my 360 site, a copyright on that.
The SaaS
The
stuff.
SaaS
Okay,
company, yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
That's
I
why I'm
got
asking
that.
that.
I got that.
It's a big
Clear
conversation.
on that.
Where's your database held? I mean, I know it's all here today.
Infusionsoft.
But you have Infusion, okay. And URLs, I know it's all here, but
About 5 or 6
URLs?
main URLs plus 20, 30 sub URLs.
Okay.
Does your accountant keep those on the books or just in your mind say that
Yeah, no, it's just me. Yeah,
All of it.
there's nothing on
It's
the
in your
books.
mind. Yeah, that's good. All right.
I get paid my $30,000 a year salary.
Oh, so are you a W-2 then?
I get W-2 from my own company.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so out of here, you have a
It's
W-2
$2,000 a month, so whatever that adds up to.
of 30 grand. See, you're like I am, like,
No, no, I'm all independent contractors.
okay. And you're the only W-2.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want, just to frame, just so we're all watching my chicken scratch writing up here, these are all assets, right? Trademarks, your IP, Infusions off your database, right? So these are all assets
Those are
that need to
extremely
be
vulnerable.
separated from this, which it will hold your liabilities. Shh. Okay. So what do you think your biggest liability is? This is kind of lessons for all. So even though we're talking to Ray, we're also talking to all of you, right? So as you grow and you're at that mark where it's nice to start separating your assets from liabilities, what's your number one liability? I have the same one. All of you have the same one.
I mean, I think my biggest liability is that I run everything and something happens to me. Then
Oh, that's a big one. There's a bigger one, though. Your clients could sue you and then take these goodies.
even with my corporate veil?
Yep.
Correct. So the corporation can be sued. I mean, what it does is it separates the liability from you, but the corporation itself can still be sued, and any assets that it owns can be taken in the event of a judgment. So we need to separate them out from that operating business, because that is your front-facing company. That's your highest liability.
But only if these are described in this company as actual assets to it, right?
Right, but you're at a point, especially, right, where here to the next level of million is probably like this
Yeah,
for you,
so,
right?
so now as I look for my patents and so forth, now each business underneath this S Corp that's been around for years now is going to start to become its own separate entities.
So like all of
So
these,
I'm already in that process of
Tell me if you guys,
organizing.
so all of these would most likely go into a C Corp.
Yeah.
So that's how I have
Yeah.
mine like that. So the C Corp holds all this. Guess who the C Corp does business with?
The S corp.
Only your company. Or other. So you may have another one, right? You
Yeah,
two
I
might
will.
do a business together, call that an LLC. You
Well,
might
I have
another.
a partner that I'm working with now. We're going to create an independent LLC just
Yep.
for the business we're doing
Yep.
together. So
But
correct.
then your IP
Would- to
is
those.
going to do business, right?
Correct.
And do business, but it never gets to touch these people.
That's correct.
I know, it's really sad to say people are liabilities, but they are. They're the ones who create lawsuits,
Right.
unfortunately.
If you don't identify those things in a different company, just like you said, you presumed it was the company, even though you don't carry them on the book, and a counsel is going to say, well, where are those assets identified? And those are the golden goose, and we're going to presume they're in the company.
I think
unless-
currently they're under myself. So when the trademarks come in, I own the trademarks, not the company.
Okay.
So everything,
good.
I
That's
have
better.
ownership of
That's
everything
better.
because I know my company gets sued. It's an S corporation. I have my corporate veil. I can close that company. I own all the assets. I own
Okay, good.
everything.
Okay.
Good.
Ultimately, we want to take a step further and get
And
it away
actually
from you.
protect them in their own companies. Yes, correct.
Right, and then once, you know.
My revenues haven't gotten to a point where that's been.
No,
And
no.
the fact that I've had zero chargebacks, zero, this many years in business.
No,
is-
it's good.
so-
Really good.
But once I start getting into that seven-figure mark, I know
It happened.
it's going to happen.
Right. And so this isn't like a rush to the finish line, but, I would say, and this is even like for Pearl, and as we continue to do more makeovers, kind of see where things apply to you, is this, it's probably by the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's not like it's urgent. It's not like, today it's like, hair on fire, you got to do it. But the trust also, then the way the trust work is then these get held in trust. And Dan, do you care if I share what you were just saying? Okay. So, he had independent, which probably some of you have independent people, right, who don't talk to each other. And just because somebody sets up a trust doesn't mean they fund the trust, right? So if the documents don't match upon death or whatever, doesn't matter, right? We have one of our real estate partners, many of you that have been on the table know Justin, right, his story. He was in a partnership where the guy had everything, and he was 50-50 verbally. So the guy dies, nothing's documented. What does Justin have? Nothing. And the girlfriend of 40 years got nothing either. The state of Kansas got it all. It all went to, right, it all went to probate. A construction company, real estate, all of it, millions of dollars went to probate. So when he came to the table, we basically bought back his assets with him as partners, and that's kind of how he got his life back. So even though, this isn't like just scare and do weird stuff, but this is just serious stuff. It's kind of critical, right? And we were talking out there how serious stuff can get with your kids, right? You just have to imagine we've seen it all, right? So we see the good, the bad, the gross. So this is kind of structure of where you'll go. So back to you. What's your expense side like? Because I know this is combined personal and business, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then expense side? Would you keep a lot of it? You spend it all? What do you?
Yeah, we reinvest, I would say, like 90% of it. Right
Back in the
into
company?
yeah.
Okay.
We keep a low balance on the books.
So majority.
Just because we're in growth phase, so we got to buy, banner. I just got an order for if you guys don't realize, this banner and those 3 banners outside, there's $2,000 just in banners.
Yeah.
Plus the graphic design, plus, so I
And you have a lot of IC expense, right?
Yeah.
Just your contractors, right?
yes, correct.
Okay.
So I on regular, about $35,000 a month regular. That's with no additional investments, such as printing banners,
Stuff.
whatever stuff.
Hotels. You do this too, right?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on coming here, so there's another expense, stuff like that.
But you rent hotel rooms. You put small rooms together too?
I have my own facility. I have a 6,000 square foot studio in
Okay.
Miami. So now I just pay my mortgage and I do everything in my space.
Okay, so let's go over here. So you own the building?
No.
Okay, you rent?
I rent the building.
Okay, so that's part of here then,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
So what do you have on the asset side? Do you own a house?
I own a condo, 2-bedroom condo.
What's it worth?
It's probably worth about 150. I owe like 82 on it.
Okay. All right. What else? Randy said you have a fancy car.
Yeah, but that's not an asset. I owe money. It's a $150,000 car. I owe like 92 on it. So
Okay?
I got 3 cars, actually.
I have a Jeep. No. My
Well,
husband.
she needs a car, and then,
Yeah,
my
I'm
assistants
teasing.
need a car.
When I got married, I had my car and my son's car, and now I have, you haven't been to our house yet. Oh my God, it's a parking lot. I don't even know, 8, 9? They just keep coming. I don't know what we're gonna do with them all. So so that's just liabilities, just cars.
Yeah.
I'll put on there. Okay, do you have credit card debt?
Very little, like 15 grand.
Okay, and but that's probably corporate expense too? Or is it
Yeah,
personal?
actually, I did the 0% credit card thing, just like you guys.
Okay.
I loaned my company the money from my personal credit, and I got like 15 grand still owed.
Okay, that's all right. And then, but for all of you, you need to be separating like your card use per company. So as you
Yes,
get
I do.
another, right? So it should be, name, company, and then personal.
I got the
and keep
Platinum
it-
American Express for the company, I got the other one for the personal,
Perfect.
and everything gets separated.
And you're using your Amex perfectly wisely.
Uh-huh.
That's a golden ticket, by the way. Those of you who didn't get it, that Platinum American Express business level is a golden asset. Like that's the one when you have it long enough at this level, get one when you get here. That's the one when you have a C Corp, not an S, but they'll give you over $1 million in.
I currently don't have a
It's-
lit on it right now.
It's great, yeah.
So.
But they'll let you run that far,
That's-
just so you
yeah.
know. So
I never ran $1 million on it yet.
right, but I'm just saying, it's that access to money if you needed to, because
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
just nice to have.
And now they just came out with this flex pay option where you don't have to pay the balance off at the end of the month,
Yeah.
which is incredible.
But if you don't have one, as a business owner, whether it's an S or a C, it's a little more challenging under an LLC, but the corps, getting a platinum level Amex is a great little asset. And even if you have the unlimited limit, when you're applying for other financing or funding, that is an asset.
Correct.
And a lot of people don't put that as an asset. It's an important one to carry around with you. Elaine? That's okay, keep that, now get one in the corporation, and get one in the corporation, and the next, yep. So you might have 5 by the time we're done with you. Yeah, you might have a whole bunch, okay? So I'm actually gonna put that up here, because that is. And what's important about this one is that this one pays those bills,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
So, did you guys see that? The Amex of the assets pays for the assets, the Amex of the liabilities pays for the liabilities. Don't cross those up. They're very important to never commingle those. Because I've seen that in court cases. Who paid the bill? And it's like, well, I paid myself back. And that doesn't work. So this is really, you can tell. The reason I know all this is because either it happened to a client or it's happened to me. It's been very exciting. All right, so any other assets? Do you have just savings, money put away anywhere?
Not really.
Okay. Randy said you have a flip account.
Yeah, but
You're going to put money in it. Okay.
actually, no.
That is a nice asset, though. You just
I
haven't gotten
invested.
funded.
It's the thing that Raj does. I think it's a Forex or something like that. I got a couple
Okay.
grand in there, like 10 grand in there. Or something
where?
Like that. Forex.
In Forex, okay.
I mean, it's a buddy of mine. He's a client of mine.
Yeah.
He spent 100 grand with me, so I gave him 10 grand to put into the account. So.
Cool. All right. Anything else?
I think that's
And
it.
Ludovine, what do you make money? Are you working?
She runs all my social media, runs all our events.
Okay. But are you taking any payroll or salary or anything?
Not currently, but she's actually, now that she's got her work permit, she's going to be able to now actually get her own job doing whatever.
What do you want to do?
Real estate.
Oh, good. All right. Have you done it here?
I did the course, the school course in Florida, and I'm going to do for the state exam.
Oh, so you're going to be an agent?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay, so I have lots of cool clients. So like Eddie and Alexia are they sat in a room like this probably 10, 12 years ago. Now they're really, really dear friends, but they're multi-millionaires. And they have a brokerage. Mm-hmm. So she's going to have to park her license. So it'd be nice to park in like kind than just a typical house. Yeah. So remind me to introduce you to them. And then do you have anything in France as far as assets, anything that you need to account for even though it's in the international space?
No.
Okay. What else do you guys want to ask?
No, actually, pretty much, you have a good clean slate. When it comes down to retirement accounts, I mean, you kind of have to
Get going. How old are you?
almost set it up completely.
38? How
So
do you?
solo K is going to be,
Okay.
I mean, it's needed. So you have to do the Roth solo 401k. You can do the spouse participant, of course. So that's going to give you 19K each to put into the Roth sides, 37K tax deferred. I would set up IRAs as well, but also an HSA. So when the kids come
Sure.
around, we can take care of that. HSA is a health savings account.
Health savings account.
So we talked about that a little
So
bit.
it's like
but that's gonna
self-insuring
be
yourself.
Very important as well. The reason why as well is that you need some tax deferred accounts. The HSA is going to give you 7K tax deferred, but it's also you can spend it tax free. The IRA is going to be very important as well. So you have some Roth IRAs, one for each. And then the solo K is going to give you some more tax deferred money with 37K for the company.
Because it's going to force you to start putting some of the money away, right?
absolutely.
Because you know the biggest mistake of people that start doing this run, right? You guys are going to start doing it again. You'll start doing it. You're already doing it. Is you end up doing this, right? It just happens. So what these do is it forces some of this money, even on a monthly, because you can ACH it, to have to start funding these accounts,
Exactly.
right? So it just is, it's almost a forced savings just built into the system. And you'll be amazed how either this will increase, which is what will happen, and this will moderate to fix this, to adjust, right? Once you put it in automation, then this just happens. You don't have it to spend. So tomorrow when we do the banking, we're going to show you how you kind of force save, force invest. I hate that word save, but it creates that rhythm so you get that cycle check.
It's interesting that you say that because whatever, I look at the account and then I'm like, oh shit, I need to make another $8,000. I need to get to work. So if the money's taken out anyway, I'm going to look at whatever that number is
And you're
I'm
gonna
going to
do
work accordingly, right? Because whatever you think about is what you believe, and whatever you believe is the actions you take, and the actions are the results. So the fact I'm not taking it out, I'm just looking at the number I have, and that's what I'm operating off of. So,
And that
so
will just be gone.
You're just kind of like telling me what
know
I
what?
should have done a long time ago.
Well, and then all of a sudden this will double, and
Yeah.
this will get less, and then there'll be more margin, and then you're going to have a whole bunch. So what's going to be fun for you guys to do is start looking at the board. And tomorrow we're going to go through, well, Brandy's going to start today, but over here is, let's just say you had 500 to invest. So this is an activity we're going to have you all start doing, is what would you do, right? Clearly you want to do some real estate, but do you want to do Miami real estate? That market's kind of over, right? It's not a good time. But would you do, like we get into Justin, Ozarks, Ohio, Kansas? I mean, Kansas is Kansas, right? It's, right? So you do real estate. Gas and oil, we'll talk a little more about, but just to give you a quick couple of lines on gas and oil, is it's the best tax-deferred investment on the planet. So if you put $100,000 in, you're going to get $85,000 back in depreciation against your highest income. So it's the only asset in the United States that actually gives you that depreciation schedule. So this one is typically in most people's wealth portfolio. Maybe you want hemp, maybe you want cannabis. So what we find is as you are learning to make it and you start identifying where you're going shopping, I call it, for assets, this gets more motivating because it's not just to do this. It's, I need an extra 25 because I want in that deal. I want an extra 50 because I want in that deal. So then this grind, I call it, has a different motivation, right? So when you start getting, and it's sort of like, I call it the red car syndrome, is unless you start identifying this is what I want to put my money in, you aren't going to see it. It's right in front of you. It's right, all of that's right in front of all of you all the time. But you're not going to see it. You're not going to listen for it. You're not going to read a prospectus. You're just going to go by because it's not on your radar. So what we want is to start, this is a normal part of our conversation, a normal part of your radar, call it, where this starts happening over and over and over. Cool? And we got to make a lot of money. But see, you're on a great runway. This is just scalability now. Are you doing most of the work?
Yeah.
A lot of it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at a point right now where I need to build an internal team, not the people doing the execution, the people to take the work off my shoulders. So I can get out there and do what I specialize in, with being the visionary, being the speaker, making the sales, because I make the sales, I run the operation, I pretty much do everything.
Okay.
And I've hit that ceiling now where,
It's just time for some internal team.
yeah.
So the lesson here too, which is a fun one, it's just interesting, is most people start like you did with an IC level, and there is a revenue mark, which you're actually above it, where bringing internal staff in where they have full-time, right? And they don't have to be W-2. I only have 4 W-2 people. So I'll show you how to do that differently. And when you have multiple companies, you can have multiple people working for multiple companies. kind of get, right? So that IC thing works. But then they have their own companies working for my company. So company to company relationships get very different than employee relationships. Because if you are employed, you have to come to work. You have to work for me. Well, you don't have to do a damn thing. I can fire you and you can fire me. So the contractual relationships get different and may perform differently.
So what I've done with everyone that I work with is I've created their corporations. I've set them up with their
Perfect.
own S-corps, and then I pay their companies.
Perfect.
I don't pay them, and I teach them how to
Then you have
do
company to company relationships.
everybody, like
Exactly.
every
So
single
then you're already
and they're independent contractors, but I'm their main source
Exactly,
of
that's what I
revenue.
have, yeah. But that's the best way to do it. There will be a point, though, on some of those people, like those few, that you do want to bring internal, because you do need to tell them to be there by 9 o'clock. They need to be there at 10 o'clock. Like, when you really have to tell them what to do, there's a few that it's going to be cheaper to bring them in-house than to do that. And it sounds like you have an office now, too.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
And I don't know if everybody realized the
Lots of layers in that, if you didn't hear it all.
impact of what he did. Because independent contractors were already difficult, and now there's brand new restrictions on it. So he totally eliminated it and made it defendable because it's corporation to corporation, not corp to independent contractor human.
I know.
Thanks.
But I have an idea. I know. It's really good. We were just having a moment about it. Okay. What else?
The
Can I answer that?
retirement funds are going to be an independent, that's governed by government legislation on that relationship. So you can have reasonable fees, but you have to watch out for self-dealing, and that's what Mike does to make sure you don't cross those lines, that you, if you got a loan or you're doing particular work on your own building that's in a self-directed IRA, you got to make sure that it's...
Yeah, when it comes down to that, look at self-dealing and all of that, you just want to make sure that, situations come up like where, oh yeah, well, I invested for my IRA, but, I'm not going to be doing work. My company actually owns the investment. Well,
You
that
can't do
doesn't
that.
matter to the IRS. That's self-dealing. I mean, it's your company. It's a control group.
And same with your kids and
Rule
your
of thumb
spouse.
is
You
we
can't
don't
go.
try and trick the IRS. I mean, in any way, we just play by the rules and take advantage of what they give us to the maximum of its capability. There's a lot of money to make within the retirement accounts as it is. We just want to make sure and do it the right way.
So well done on this, right? This would just be set up over time, setting this up, right? So we can sequence that, by the time you roll tomorrow. This is probably your newest learning, is how do you, even if you just start putting money, here's a way, since you already do have that account, and just knowing where Randy can't tell me we're going, but I can tell you enough, is you could also just start loading it in here, right? And then from here, once you get to certain levels, because a lot of these are minimums of 25s. So your first 25, right, you can pull the liquidity and then go here and then pull the 25. But at least it's another holding pen, a holding account. Because if it sits over here, like most business owners that roll, you're going to spend it.
Yeah.
It's going to find a home.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be in the home you want it. And if you don't start doing this, all of you, this is the biggest mistake people make. I can talk, and we could name names of the people who are in their 60s, 70s, and 80s and still doing this, because this is still how they live in this environment, in this industry, let's call it, right? So this is important to start moving money into other assets. So then you're free. And Randy's going to start talking about it, is for all of you is getting your definition of wealth. Like, what does it really mean? And for most of us around here, it's when this passive income handles all your living expenses, and then this is just for play. Then you got a different life. Then it's a different life. But when you actually are seeing cash flow checks come out of this side, and that's new for a lot of you, right?
So one other thing I didn't mention that I'm starting to do is franchise, or actually license, not franchise, license
Good.
my brand in 2 days model. So I already have a few interested parties, and I'm kind of figuring out all the logistics in that.
And do you have a good licensing lawyer?
I paid about 10 grand to kind of put all the agreements together, the non-disclosures, the intent, and the whole processing.
How much are you charging for them?
We're starting at 25, for a
Okay.
location and 60 for the whole country.
Okay. So something, Will can work on is a couple funnels, because you're going to have overlaying funnels, right? So as you grow, you'll have overlaying funnels, right? You guys will have overlaying funnels in your real estate, meaning like just this would be for your licensing. And I can tell you as you start this, and I wouldn't get too far in, the best licensing lawyer in the country is Sharon Lecter's husband, Michael. Really? He's intellectual, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think we're on stream and it's true, killed Kiyosaki in court. Like, he did all the licensing for Rich Dad Poor Dad, and they won. $29 million, they won. He's a king. Like, nobody will ever mess with it. They won't take your IP. I mean, he's not cheap, but he's worth it. If you're going to really let your IP go, and you've seen this interesting space of people who can spin it off, a few percent and say, no, it's mine, and then not pay you. So I would get this contracts right? Even if they're known, trusted friends, I still get that right. Anything, yeah. And then what's the funnel through that, right? So I would just encourage you, having done it before, is to come up with a few, I would make these real vetting processes, right? So I don't know what you've had to do to vet them to see, I don't care if they got 25 grand, this shouldn't be just because they can pay. Like, make the 25K down here, right, where they are worthy of it, and they've had to paint, definitely. So if that makes sense? Because you just don't want anybody who has the money, because there's a lot of those people, and they also, right?
'Cause that can bite you in the butt later on, then they're going to be the...
But I still want to put training.
They're not producing at certain levels.
Can
Yeah.
they get it back?
Can
You
you
get
get
it
it
back.
back because they bought it, but then they're not selling it and using it?
It's an annual license
Okay.
with
On performance.
a $1,500 renewal. So the renewal is very low, but every year they have to be performing accordingly. Otherwise, we might not accept the renewal of the license.
And the other piece that gets messy in these two, to think about it how you want to do it, and it will happen. Don't say it won't happen. It happens. And I mean, I've been in this too long. So if it's somebody that's really close, like we have people in my world, they're going to either want to joint do IP with you. They'll have their additive spin. And are you going to allow it? And how does that fit?
That's why I'm doing licensing and not franchising. So I give them the model, I give them what I do, and this is how it works for me, and they can put whatever spin they want on it.
Okay, so that's all clearly laid out?
Yep.
And then how they do joint content with you?
Yeah, everything is documented, what is my IP
Okay.
and what they cannot change, but they can add and,
Okay.
and do
All
it.
right.
That's why I went with
Any-
licensing and not with franchising.
Okay, good. Any other little issues off the top? Is this helpful? You guys getting? Yeah. This is what a team helps you do. Thinks through things. And if he's got it, he's got it. If not, our job's to help pointing to things and
Each little tweak makes it even
yeah,
better.
tweaks in the gaps. And at some level, too, let's just speak about lawyers and just team. A lot of times you just pay for what you can afford. That's kind of how we all started. You pay for what you can afford. At some point, you're just going to pay for what you need, right? And don't think, I know Kevin hates to hear me say this, but lawyers do have terms and they will work out payments.
Except for me. Everybody else does.
Except for Kevin.
So-
You guys expected.
But there's a lot of road mapping. You've got so much potential here. So you're going
Millions.
to have a lot that you need to filter and develop. But you have to spend $19.50 right now and get a separate company to move that IP out while you grow, because it's going to be more difficult as you move forward. You want all the IP, including the stuff that you're licensing,
To go right
away
here.
from you, because you're even going to, what you're going to do is have a sub-license. You want to bring it over so it's not even that company, because if they do something or they think that they've done something in additive, they're suing you. And so you keep it in that box and you don't lose the goose, okay? So you got to spend that like today.
So here's,
Get all the new IP in that new company.
are we on live stream? How many people are actually listening to us? It's one of those, because you're in the room, you get to hear the goods. No big deal. All right, so
You don't have to go radio
here's
silent
how
for a
you.
minute.
Well, we can decide who gets the recording. So here's how you do a lot of this, and I know where's Patty, because she's kind of freaking out about some of this. She just went outside. Okay, good. We're going to talk about her. This is some of those models where I say sell your way to success. So you've done it, but I'll put some frame around it. You're going to go out and pre-sell with some big bonuses, 4 of these. But at least it's given you some breathing room to go be busy. Maybe they get a session with Randy and me. So a month later, 6 weeks later, you've bought yourself some time to not have to fulfill, not get them going. They're busy, right? Do you see where I'm going? But you got 100 grand and you're not going, you know, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And it's a different revenue model and it's a different kind of money. And I want you to also start compartmentalizing the money, because money is different. Like, this is licensing money. This isn't branding money, right? You see how, like, a lot of times if you collapse it all into one big pile, which is where most people do, then you don't have compartmental spending. So then you just have this big lump. So then once your money comes over here, you don't get to bring it back over here. That's gone. You better figure this out. So when you really get disciplined about the kinds of money and the compartmentalization of your money, like this, you don't get to pull this. You don't get to pull this. You don't get to touch that. You got to make some new stuff. You see how that's just going to force success? Does that make sense for all of you? And the only risk is what? And the only person you have to trust is who? It's you. All this is you performing. This has nothing to do with some trick or strategy. This is putting it all on the line for you and your life to be successful. But when you figure this out, it's golden. Did you guys all get that? It's kind of a $1 trillion lesson in more advanced stuff. Right? Good?
Thank you.
Helpful? Good. All right. So you're an interesting one, because you could go to the table, but you also could just work, directly one-on-one. I do take one-on-one clients.
That's the conversation I want to have with
And
you.
we'll have that one. Okay, awesome. And what about you, Miss Real Estate? Don't let me forget to give you Alexi and Eddie. And if nothing else, they're going to be the greatest friends you'll ever meet. Alexi's from Brazil, makes the greatest steak and margaritas you'll ever have. You got to go to Miami just to see Alexi. So, anything else?
We're in Miami, so.
I know. That's but I go now. I'm more friends. All right. Anything else?
Nope.
You guys good? All right. Give him a hand. Thank you. Thank you.